Good morning. This is a beautiful morning. I am in my structure that I made yesterday. So welcome to Spirit Forest. I love this new, it's not even a blanket, but it felt like a blanket all night. It's this jacket I bought. It was on sale, so I'm like, oh, it's so soft. You gotta have some of those comforts, you know. But anyways, again, this is day 2, so go check out day 1. I slept great last night. So, I don't know if you guys remember, but I warm up these guys here. I basically boil them and I stick them in my backpack. I have 2 of them. And it keeps me warm throughout the night. It's kind of like a little sauna in my sleeping bag. And it's really nice and toasty, especially in the wintertime. It's really nice. But at about 2:30, Rocky went nuts and started barking. I don't know if he heard. I didn't hear anything, but I was sleeping. But Rocky heard something and was just going nuts, and he was on duty. So I woke up, and then I noticed that the water lost its heat by then. So I ended up taking it out of my sleeping bag. But I think I told you guys all the stuff that I was putting in my sleeping bag to keep it warm. I kept my water bladder in my sleeping bag. These 2 big containers of water I put in my sleeping bag. All my camera batteries go in my sleeping bag. So sometimes it gets a little uncomfortable, but so I end up taking the water bladder out. And I was like, well, I want to at least keep it warm so it doesn't freeze. And I put it underneath my mat, and well, it leaked. Oops, that's the first time that leaked. But it'll dry. It's just water anyway, so I'm not too worried about it. But I was pretty toasty last night. I think this shelter did really well. I have some changes to it that I would make. Again, I put up the tarp because it was windy, so to keep a lot of the wind out. This probably wouldn't be the best configuration if it was raining or snowing, though. And again, I wasn't expecting rain or snow, so it worked out pretty well for what I wanted it to do. Instead of, if it was raining or snowing, you kind of see it's kind of touching me here. I would have to put some more ribs up. The ribs kind of prevent it from touching me. The ribs are the lines that are coming down, or the sticks that are leaning against it. I'd probably roll it a little bit differently, so that way it rolls in instead of out, and so the water doesn't get in the tent inside my shelter area. But I was pretty impressed with it. I could tell, because the wind came through over here. I have it open right now, but it was mostly closed, but I had it open so that way I could see Rocky, and I could tell that was open. And I could tell that it was warmer in the core of here than over by the windows, which is expected. You would expect that anyways, even with a tent. So I'd change a couple things with this configuration. And again, I think if it was raining or snowing, I would do something different. So what am I going to do today? I am going to build some shelters, or going to start building shelters. I don't think I'm going to finish today because I do have to get back to the city. I have to work tomorrow. But it feels like, it was in the 20s last night, and I think it feels like it's in the 30s right now. I haven't got out of my sleeping bag yet, so we'll see. But I do want to build some shelters, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up some wood, and so that way when I'm ready to build this shelter, the wood's already cut up for me. So by cutting up this wood, I'm going to keep myself warm too. So it's I want to make a fire, I think, too, and have a little breakfast. And so maybe I'll see you guys when I warm up, because I need to warm up a bit. And start making my fire. Okay, before I make the fire, I'm just going to show you quickly my shelter. It's kind of a mess right now, but I just want to show you kind of what it looks like and what I did in case you didn't see the video, the first video. This is, I don't know what you call this type of shelter, but I don't know, it's a Spirit Force shelter. So what I did is, I'm going to open this up here. So I rolled, that is a log that I rolled it. And you can kind of see what the inside looks like. So it's a little bit open at the bottom. I have 2 pads here. I've got some lights hanging. And then I have a bunch of my little night lights that I like that I had last night that lights up with color and so forth. I'm going to go around to the other side so you can see the other side of it. This is the area that Rocky slept in, so he was right next to me. He ended up backing his butt right inside the tent. His butt was like right in my face. But, you know, he wanted a cuddle or something. So he slept there, and then I had this all rolled up as well. The reason why I rolled this up instead of staking it down, and it was, first of all, it was easier. I was running out of light. You could roll it up so you can tighten it. So I like that. But maybe and you know, a rainy day instead of just wind, which I built this just for wind, I would probably roll it the other way. And I might want to test that theory just to make sure that that's really what I'd want to do, because I don't want the rain coming off and then going under the tent, or sorry, under the structure and into where I'm sleeping. So I might at a later date test that theory out of which way to roll it, this way or the other way, in case it is a rainy time. I'll come over here with a bucket or something like that and put it on there. It worked pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it. So I would do it again, but again, like I said earlier, I'd probably not do it if it was raining or snowing. I'd probably use a different kind of structure, and I'll be experimenting on all the different kinds that you could do with a tarp. So there it is. Now I had this bottom pad and that pad, and when I slept on my hip, if I slept on my side, I could really feel the cold from the ground come up. So I am pretty happy that I brought both of my the floor mats. And then I brought this ground cover, which many times before I don't use a ground cover, but I just want to keep my gear clean, and so that's why I have it. If the ground was wet, this would be a really nice barrier to making it so it's not so wet. But if you heard earlier, I spilt, or my bladder leaked, and it leaked between this layer and that layer. So that green layer is really pretty wet right now. One of the other things I just wanted to show you really quick, since I'm right here, is my first aid kit. I do bring this when I'm backpacking, but I just never shown it before. So let me open it up. This is EMS, Eastern Mountain Sports, if you're not familiar with them. They used to be in Colorado. They're not in Colorado anymore. I don't know when they were. I think it might have been like 2004 they left Colorado. But I love that company. Actually, I like them even better than REI. This is one that I take with me on longer treks, you know, when I go about 60 miles backpacking, where I need a lot more. I have that little bag too that I take as well, but if I'm only going, you know, 8 miles or so, I'll just take the little bag. I'm fine. This one I take on a lot bigger treks. I'm not going to go through everything that I have in there, but just kind of give you an idea. I'm just kind of opening it up for you. I got some tweezers, some moleskin. I even have there's a little book in there which I've read multiple times on my longer treks. It's, you know, I've used a lot of this stuff, especially this tape I've used, and in fact I think I've replaced this a couple times for blisters and stuff. Most of the time when I'm doing this is either I scratch myself on a stick, or I have a blister, which I'm really thankful that that's all I've had to use it for. It's just more just band-aids kind of some self-aid type stuff. So this is my first aid kit. Maybe another time, if you guys are interested, I'll go ahead and take this all apart, and you can take a look at each item that I have in there. But it is really small and pretty light, and fits right in my backpack pretty well. Okay, so that was my sleeping arrangement for last night. I'm gonna go make some breakfast now and then start working on my shelters. It was always on fire, our house, our dreams. We were dancing on a wire, reckless it seemed. We found holes in these walls, we like what we saw. Seems so strong until it falls, the final straw. Oh, I never felt like this before. When I was trapped, you showed an open door. Living in a dark, clouded haze, we danced, we fought. We were bound to make mistakes, we loved, we thought. It was always on fire, our house, our dreams. We were dancing on the wire, reckless it seemed. I never felt like this before. When I was trapped, you showed an open door. I had no reason to complain. So now that breakfast is done, I say let's go build something. Let's go build something fun. A shelter is kind of what I'm thinking. So I mentioned before that I'm going to be doing some of these classes in the summertime, and I was one of my things I'm going to train people on is how to build a shelter. So I'm going to build a bunch of shelters. You guys are going to be seeing me doing that. In fact, a lot this year, since I probably won't be able to show my actual classes. You're probably just going to see me build shelters and staying in shelters and testing them out and so forth. So let's build a shelter. I think that would be kind of fun. I don't know what kind yet. I'm going to play around for a little bit first. Okay, do you see what I'm kind of trying to make here? It's going to be a bit shorter, but I'm starting it pretty tall. But it's going to be an elevated bed. I made it pretty big. I wonder if I should make it smaller, but I think that the way it is, it's okay. I might move these boards on the inside. That will make the bed a little bit narrower. So that way the shelter above it doesn't have to be so big. This is the first time making an elevated bed. Usually I just make shelters to go on top of me, and then I put a bunch of debris and stuff below me. So, but I've seen this a lot online, and I wanted to take an attempt at it. I don't plan on teaching this in my class, but I will be teaching the shelter that goes over it, and I think that having it here would be really nice for the students to see it, and it working and not falling apart. Right now it's extremely wobbly, so I'm going to come up with some ideas for that to make it a little bit better. But again, the legs are all different sizes, so I'm going to cut them down, and I might end up putting them in the ground a little bit because I'm going to make this a little camp area. I have chosen this area to be the next little camp area. Possibly a little fire pit here too. But I'll have like a lean-to structure. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some A-frames and, oh, not A-frames, I'm not thinking, tripods, tripod lash type items here, and then lean some branches on top of that. So that's kind of my goal right now. I'm getting there, but it's going pretty slow because it takes a long time to try to find the straight boards. That's my biggest issue, is trying to find straight boards. So I'm back, but maybe you guys didn't know I was gone. I had a visitor come by, and I love visitors, but it took up my entire day. So my whole project of getting a shelter done is just going to have to wait. You know, I got plenty of time. The sun's setting right now behind me, and but this is kind of where I got so far. It's not very good. I don't want to show you details quite yet because it's pretty wobbly. So I'm gonna do a little bit more research on it too, kind of see what to do. And again, my point is to be able to create like a second camp over here, kind of more like a kind of bushcraft type style. I'm trying to think of a channel that has something that I'm looking for. I don't know. Nothing comes to mind right now. I'm like, it's Scrambled O. You guys, I'm sure everybody's watched Scrambled O if you see his channel. He's got like a little small camp. And mine would be just a little bit smaller than his, but that's kind of what I'm looking at building, something kind of similar to his. But I want mine to be transportable, so I want to be able to move the camp, and the reason for it is if I pointed the camera over here, we got a ton of dead aspen over here. So I got to take all of these down. These things are huge trees too, so when these things come down, it's going to cause some serious damage. I don't want to build this camp and then have to take down the trees. If I can take down the trees this summer, or this winter, that would be ideal. But then again, I got to find somewhere to put all the wood. But they're about this far around. These things are going to come down pretty hard, and it's going to come right through this camp. So anyways, yeah, I'll be working on this, and again, I want it to be able to be movable, so it's I can move it to another spot if I need to while I'm taking some trees down. I also want to be able to use this camp on my my classes too. I think it'd be a lot of fun to kind of show them, you know, what to do. A lot of times in my classes, we're not going to start from scratch because it takes so long to do these shelters. It takes a ton of time. I'm going to be teaching them a lot of tarp shelters, but when you do the type of shelter that I'm looking at doing where you have this elevated bed and stuff like that, it takes so much time that I just couldn't do it in a 4-hour period or even a day period. So I want to be able to have enough stuff around so that when the campers do come, they'll be able to have a lot of the stuff already cut for them, and they'll be able to construct it. And it's already measured for what they're looking for, and it just kind of gives them that experience of working with their paracord, because that's really some of the hardest times, is just trying to figure out what is the best knot to tie some of this stuff together. At least that's where my challenge ends up being a lot of times too. So I'll be working on that a lot during this beginning of spring. I'll be working on a lot of these type of shelters and stuff like that. So I hope you guys like it, and you know, if you want to watch that kind of stuff, you know, subscribe. I'm getting the camp ready for my classes. Really looking forward to it. I got some people that have interest already, and you know, even if the classes aren't really full, they're just fun for me. So you know, and if someone can learn a little bit, I'm great with that. Okay, so I'm gonna like pack up some of the stuff that I have kind of laying around here, and I put my saw somewhere, and I don't know where I put it. That's typical me. I always lose stuff. I think people came and I was holding my saw, and then I probably just set it down somewhere. I'll find it later. Okay, so I'm gonna go look for my my saw, and then I'm going to start taking down my other shelter that I slept in last night, and I'll catch up with you guys here shortly. Okay, my adventure is now coming to a close, and all packed up. This is again where I slept last night. This is my backpack behind me. You might be asking, why did I bring my backpack when my car's not too far away? For a couple reasons. One of them being that I like to know if all my winter gear can fit in a backpack, so that way I'm prepared for that. I want to know how much that backpack would weigh, and my backpack weighs about 45 to 50 pounds. It kind of tells me how far in the wilderness I can go, how my distance. When I'm carrying 45 to 50 pounds, I don't know, I'm getting older. I think 8 miles a day. That would probably be where I'm like, okay, I'm about done. And I'm talking about in the mountains, because when you're hiking in the mountains, you're going up and down hills and carrying that much weight. I weigh probably about 135, 140-ish, somewhere around there. So carrying a 45 to 50 pound pack is It's pretty tough on me now. I used to do that a lot in my 20s, but now I'm like, I'm not as good a shape as I should be. I'm trying, but I'm not as good a shape as I should be. But anyways, that's one of the reasons why I brought it here, is just to be able to test out my gear. Always testing it out. I don't do a lot of winter camping, and I explained it on my last video of why I don't do winter camping as much. I do plan on coming out here to winter camp one more time. And I'm planning on doing it in the snow, so, you know, I'll check ahead of time to see if there's any snow on the ground and come out here and camp in the snow. You know, there should be snow here soon. I'm hoping like the next video you guys can be able to see is snow, but we'll see, I don't know. Let's see, also the second reason why I carry my backpack is that maybe because I'm lazy and I don't want to keep walking to my car to grab stuff. Literally, I pack everything in my backpack, I shove it in my car, I take it out of my car, bring it here, pack it all up here, and then come right back to the car. So really, it's not a bunch of shuttling back and forth from the car. I can just do it all at once, and that's one of the probably major reasons why I'm just lazy and I just don't want to keep going back and forth to my car carrying a bunch of stuff. So my backpack works out really well for that, and I'm very used to it. One of the things I did want to mention too is that, and I mentioned in a couple other videos too, is that I'm involved in the beginning stages of training for the Rocky Mountain Search and Rescue Team. And I'm learning a lot, and I'm hearing a lot of stories, and most of the time when people get stuck in the wilderness, and I'm talking a lot about in the wintertime, it is because they're not prepared. I was prepared tonight, you know, I was prepared all last night, and I'm prepared right now. You know, if something were to happen, I'm prepared. So I've been hearing a ton of stories, and the majority of the reasons why people are being rescued is because they're not prepared, and they go out in the wilderness and they don't have the right kind of gear. So, you know, just take this as it's just a reminder, you know. I hope I don't see you out there if I'm rescuing you, you know, because I hope you have enough gear and you have the right gear. Cheap gear is not the best gear, so just be really picky, especially with your winter gear when you go out there, and test it out. Just like I do here, I'm testing it out. If I wanted to do this same cell shelter out in the wilderness instead of on my land, I could do that, and I know how it's gonna last. So just be aware of your gear. Okay, I'm gonna grab my backpack and I'm gonna take a little walkabout because I still haven't found that saw. No idea where I put that saw. I think when the people came over to visit, I literally had it in my hand, and then I just started talking and I placed it somewhere. No idea where I put that saw. So hopefully I can find it. Okay guys, I'm calling it a night. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay, don't laugh at me. Okay, laugh at me. I found my saw. Guess where I put it? There's my saw. It's been here the whole time. Oh my god, I cracked myself up. Oh my god, I need to go home. We are good on. You ready, buddy? Ready to go home? Yep. Let's get out of here.